Good morning. You know what today is? Monday morning chats with Sack, and Sack is me. I hope that you guys had a good weekend. It was a great weekend, I can say. I got a chance to do some fun stuff, and I got a chance to buy some stuff for me. So it was definitely great. If I had to label this video for today, I think it would be healing part 2. And so if you remember 2 weeks ago, I talked about the steps to healing. And this week, I want to just add to that, in addition to what my pastor was preaching about yesterday. And I thought it would be cool. And so we had Bible study, right? So the name of our Bible study is called Healing in Progress. And the purpose of this is figuring out what things do we need to grow from, what things we need to remove from our life, and how do we move forward. And one of the biggest things with healing is forgiveness, right? Maybe someone hurt you, someone wronged you either yesterday or years ago. Maybe it's something that you just still can't get over. Like, what are the next steps? And so for the steps to healing, I want to be healed, we went through those 4 steps. And during that Bible study, my co-facilitator was like, I still struggle with forgiveness. I struggle with that. And so I said, hey, I know you had this list of people that it's hard for you to forgive. However, let's see if that list can get shortened over time, right? It's not something that can happen overnight, but it's up to you to make that decision. And so when we had Bible study this past Thursday, we opened in prayer, and then I was like, so tell me about this unforgiveness list. Is it, did the numbers reduce, or it's still the same? And she was like, I'm still working on it, right? And I asked her, I said, so what is it that's keeping you from like letting it go? Like, what is it that's keeping you from just letting it go, right? What is it? And I said, don't get me wrong. I said, people will hurt you in life, right? Sometimes people will do it intentionally, sometimes you do it unintentionally. And sometimes people don't even know the consequence of their actions. Like, some people don't even know, like, hey, if you do this can cause somebody to be depressed. Hey, if you do this, it can cause somebody to be stressed. Hey, if you do this, it can cause somebody to be heartbroken. Like, sometimes people may not even know the things that they put people through. They don't know the consequence. Some people don't even know that they've broken many hearts. Some people don't know that. They just go on with life, do what they do, and they just assume that their wrongdoings is apparently right. And so I said, what's holding you on? Like, what's holding you on from just saying, hey, I'm going to forgive them? And I said, I know it's hard, right? I know it's hard because you're thinking about the hurt. And maybe at one point you did trust this person, and this person hurt you. I get it completely. But what is it that's holding you on? Let's talk about that. And, of course, it was about the hurt, right? It was about the hurt. And I said, you know what? In life, people will hurt you. But the question becomes, like, are you willing to just forgive yourself for... Forgiveness is for yourself. It's not for the other person. And I said, think about it. I said, I think what makes me forgive more is that I had to ask God for a lot of forgiveness, right? There's some things that I've done that I wish that I can go back in time and change it. I wish I can go back and change it, but I can't. It's life. And so I said, well, maybe, and I said, sometimes when you don't forgive, sometimes God will put you in a position where you have to confront those people and you had no choice but to. At one point in my life, I thought that if somebody hurt me, I could just suppress it, right? I could just push it down and act like it doesn't exist. And that's what we talked about. I said, okay, you suppressing it, right? You pressing it down, you forget about it. You forget that it even exists. But does that really mean forgiveness? It doesn't, right? You're just compartmentalizing things and to say, hey, you know what? This is this type of hurt. I'm just going to put this here, right? And I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to live my life and not worry about this hurt that's on this side. I'm not going to worry about that. But I said, it's still there, right? It's still there. And I said, something instantly can trigger it. Maybe someone says something. Maybe someone says the person's name. Maybe you are in a particular location and makes you think about the hurt. It's something that can easily trigger that make to make that thing that's suppressed rise up and make you react, right? So I said, well, suppressing it is not doing anything. You're just burying it. You don't want to think about it, but you have to acknowledge it. You have to go through it, right? You have to go through it. And sometimes going through mess is messy and it hurts. It hurts real bad. But I said suppressing it doesn't mean that you forgave. You're just forgetting about it. But you have to acknowledge it. You have to say, you know what? I forgive. And sometimes, when people hurt us, we think in order for us to have closure to move forward, they have to apologize. Some people would never apologize. And it doesn't even matter like what they've done. They could do something really bad to you. And honestly, they may feel in their heart that they don't have to apologize to you. They can just live their life. And I told, my co-facilitator, I said, you know what, you have this unforgiveness. And I said, this person probably living their best life. They're probably moving forward. They're probably partying. And you're still hurt for something that happened years ago. And I said, there's no shame, but I said, think about it. This person forgot about it. They probably don't even care that they did what they did to you. They probably don't care. They're just living their life, moving forward, not thinking about you. So I said, hey, let's think about it like this. Forgiveness is for yourself. It's not for the other person. And I said, I'm pretty sure we had to ask God for forgiveness. My pastor yesterday, this is something that I struggle with. What happens when you wrong somebody, right? Because most times it's easy to be victim, right? It's easy to say, this person hurt me. This person did this to me. But what if you was that person that hurt somebody else? That's what makes forgiveness a little easier for me. Because I'm like, you know what? I can talk about the things that people have done to me and it hurt me, but I know I hurt people before. And so what God said was, what my pastor said was that, how do you confront that when you hurt somebody? Like, what do you do? One, ask God for forgiveness. Two, forgive yourself. And you can apologize to the person. But that last part is sometimes some people may not accept your apology. And that's okay. That is okay. Some people may never accept your apology, no matter how sincere you are. But you can't worry about that, right? I remember years ago when I was in high school, later college, I dated a guy and my family loved him. I loved his family and it didn't work out. And he told me that I broke his heart. I was the first girl that broke his heart. And I didn't mean to do these things intentionally. This is something that I just didn't want at the time. And he said that I broke his heart. And he reached out to me, I want to say, after he told me that I broke his heart, he reached out to me like right after I graduated from law school. And he had a legal issue. And he was like, Sakina, I trust you. Like, I know that you know this stuff. I know that you can help me, but I trust you. And so for me, I said, okay, well, I gave him some advice. Then I asked him, I said, I'm sorry about everything that happened years ago. And I said, but do you forgive me? He said, I don't know. I don't think so. I said, okay. That happened, I want to say maybe almost 9 years ago. And then in 2009, my uncle died. We would usually check up on each other, just random, like, hey, how's your family doing? I hope your family's well, and that's it. And he knew my uncle, and he really liked my uncle. And when my uncle died, I told him, I said, hey, my uncle died. He was like, Sakina, whatever you need, let me know. And I was like, I don't even live in Philly anymore. He's like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you need something, let me know. What does the family need? I'll come to Maryland for you. Like, whatever you need, I got you. But he's always been like that to me. And I was like, I'm okay. And I said, I appreciate it. And then I asked him again. I said, I'm sorry for everything. Like, I'm sorry it didn't work out. And, I was young when you met me, right? We were both young, and I was still trying to figure out life. And I said, I'm sorry, but do you forgive me? And he didn't have an answer. And at that moment, I realized that I can't wait for somebody to forgive me for something that I've done years ago, especially when God has forgiven me and I forgave myself. And I decided to just move forward. And so this person never talked to me again. I would never ask them that question, because I did everything that I can do. I tried to correct it. I tried to apologize. I was sincere. I asked God for forgiveness first. I forgave myself. And I asked the other person. Right? But the one thing in life, you will encounter some type of pain, right? I wish that I can tell you that life will be real easy. I wish I could tell you that life will be carefree. But that pain is unavoidable. Like, you're going to experience some type of pain. You can't avoid it. My niece had a conversation with me one day, and she said, Auntie, I experienced my first heartbreak. And I said, Niecy, I wish I could tell you that this will be your first one, but it's not. You're going to experience these things. I wish I could tell you, like, you can avoid this. You can avoid it if you decide not to have your heart open. If you decide to have your heart closed and just cold and not feel anything, maybe you won't. But if you have a kind heart and you're open to love, it doesn't have to just relate to a romantic relationship. It could be a friendship, it could be your career, it could be something that caused some type of heartbreak. And I told her that that's the first, but you will experience others. And I said, I wish I can tell you how to prevent it. I said, what I can tell you is that you can learn from it and figure out what you need to do moving forward. And so the things that caused you heartbreak this past time, you have an example of what you're not going to accept moving forward. But I said, I wish I could tell you that that's going to be your only experience, right? I wish I could tell you that, but I can't. It's life. Like, you're going to go through that. There's no escaping that, right? There's no escaping that. You're going to go through these things in life. And the thing you need to ask yourself, what is this teaching me? When I was failing the bar, I kept just questioning God, like, why are you putting me through this? Like, why I can't pass this exam? Like, I was always like an A student, like doing extremely well, but this test I can't pass. Like, what is it? Like, do you not want me to be a lawyer? Like, I struggle with that. And I would talk to God all the time and say, God, like, you know that I want to be a lawyer since I was 8 years old. Like, this is something that I didn't have a plan B. Like, I didn't have a plan B. Like, for the moment I was 8, I said I wanted to be a lawyer. And so when I was in college, and we would have discussions about, hey, what do you want to do after college? I said, I want to go to law school. I didn't have a plan B. And I figured, why have a plan B? It's going to distract me from plan A, right? And so I just said my plan A is law school. And what was frustrating was me being in law school, me being in college, applying to schools, I didn't get accepted. And I was like, but this is my plan A, right? I don't have a plan B, right? I don't have a plan B. And I questioned God, like, why me, right? And then eventually I got accepted into law school. And I just thought, like, hey, I could get through this. And I did. When I failed the bar the first time, I was like, why is it that I failed and everybody around me passed, God? Like, why can't I see what it's like to be a lawyer? Like, why can't I see that? Like, why can't I feel that? Like, why? Like, I want this right now. Like, I'm happy for my friends. I'm happy for my colleagues. But I want that too. So when can you give it to me? Like, when will my career become a little better for me? Like, when would it become a little smoother? And during that process, I didn't understand it until I passed. That honestly, God was really building my character. And so sometime in life, we will go through things. We will go through some bad things that are in our life. And instead of trying to say, God, you know what? Why'd you give this to me? You should ask yourself, what are you teaching me? Because there's a lesson in your pain. There's a lesson in your struggle. You just have to figure out what it is. You just got to be still. And you had to say, listen, I'm listening, God. What is this, right? What is this thing that you are trying to teach me? I wish I could tell you that life will get easier. I wish I could tell you that you would not experience something bad. You're going to experience some type of pain. Maybe someone breaks your heart. Maybe you lose your job. Maybe you have a health scare. Maybe you lose your favorite person. Like losing my Aunt Tracy, that was pain, right? That I didn't want to think about it. Like I knew that My aunt was sick. I knew she had cancer. She battled with cancer for quite some time. And I remember her telling me one day, like, I'm going to die, right? I am going to die. And I hated when she talked like that. I was like, look, let's not talk about that. Let's plan this trip when we go to the Mall of America. Like, let's plan this trip. Like, let's not talk about. But it was something that I had to face. Like, I had to face that. Like, I had to face knowing that one day I'm going to get this call that my aunt is no longer here. And no matter how hard she fought a long battle with cancer, like a long battle, she told me the week before she died, she said, Sakina, this medicine is just giving me time. I accepted it. I'm about to go home. And it crushed me. And when I say it broke my heart, it broke my heart. And it was to the point where I was in North Carolina for the whole week, a week before she died. And it was at times where I went to her, I went to the rehab facility every single day until she came home. And it was so hard. I was sitting in that recliner chair in the hospital, and I'm like, yeah, I'm about to lose my aunt. That hurt. Like, that really hurt. I don't want that for anybody. Like, I don't want that for nobody. And the day before I left North Carolina, she was like, I love you, Sakina. And she was like, you're going to get everything that your heart desires. And honestly, when we had our last dinner, it was so hard for me to look at her because I was like, this may be the last time I see her. This may be the last time I see my aunt. The last time. And so I tell you that in life, like, I wish I could tell you that life would be an easy roller coaster. I wish life was easy. I wish it was. I don't have to worry about nothing. But honestly, you're going to have to learn how to deal with things in life, how to deal with struggles, how to overcome it. Like, you can play victim all the time, but can you be a victor about this? We will all encounter some type of pain. But what are you doing to, like, go through it, right? It's okay to feel. Like, I tell my niece all the time, like, yo, if you're hurt, like, it's okay to cry. And I say, if you don't have a safe space, you have a safe space with me. Like, if you need to cry and you need to let it out, if you come to my house or you're on the phone with me, I will give you that space. Hey, if you need to cry, you need to scream, you need to yell, you could do that with me because you have to let it out, right? And most of us struggle with pain and we just put it to the side and say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with that right now. I'm going to just focus on, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to party. But now, like, honestly, now that I make myself, I go to therapy because I love it, right? I talked about the things I experienced. I talked about the things that hurt me. I talked about the pain that I thought I got over, right? I thought like putting it to the side is like, this is cool, right? This is cool. But in therapy, like, I had to let all that out, right? I had to let all of that out, and it made me free. And I see so many people walking in pain, and I'm just like, yo, when would you make the decision to be free? When would you make the decision to say, I want to be healed? When would you make the decision to say, hey, like, I need to forgive. Hey, I need to create this space for me. Like, I hear people talk about, creating a safe environment. Won't you do that with yourself? I practice self-love on myself every single day. My love language is words of affirmation and quality time. I practice those things on myself every single day. I read an affirmation every single day. I tell myself I'm amazing. I tell myself that I'm awesome. I tell myself that I'm great. Because I can't expect that from anybody else to do that. If I go this whole day expecting somebody else to pour into me, I am a lost cause. I have self-love. It starts with me. It starts with me. 2, quality time. I do solo dates. Yes, I take myself out to dinner. And it feels amazing. It feels great. Sometimes the hostess may think I'm crazy when I say, yeah, just for one. I go to the restaurant by myself. I gather my thoughts. I may have my journal, and I write in my journal about my day and my goals and things I want to accomplish for this week or things I want to accomplish next week. And I just write about things. I practice self-love on myself. and you should do it too. So if you need a safe space from people, won't you start creating it for yourself? Have some time with your thoughts. And now, like my therapist, she be trying to break up with me, and I'm like, look, girl, you're not breaking up with me. Like, we together. Like, we are together. And last year, like the beginning of last year, I was going to therapy every week. And that's why I said, look, I need you. And I was going to therapy every week, and I would just talk about things like, hey, this bothers me. And like the one thing I've learned is that how to control my emotion. Like, just because I'm hurt, I don't have to hurt somebody else. And I see so many people that because they are hurting and they don't want to be healed and they experience all this pain, they cause pain to other people. And sometimes they don't even know. So I challenge you, like, let that all out. Like, let that out. Let it out. Let it out. Let it out. After, like, my 3 months of assessment with therapy, she was like, you know what? You did the necessary steps. I mean, I don't think there's nothing that we should talk about. And I said, wait a minute. And I said, you know what? I make the decision that I want to go continue therapy. I said, now I got this off my chest. I said, I'll go once a month. And now when I go to therapy, it's different, right? It's different because now I tell her that I'm very aware and I acknowledge things. I acknowledge some things I took ownership in, like things I did wrong. Like, hey, I know better. But now, like, I tell her that, I see so many hurt people that try to mask their hurt by doing other things so they don't deal with it. And I always wonder, when would they be triggered, right? When would they be triggered where they have to acknowledge it? And I just think, like, hey, like, therapy is a good way to how to deal with pain. And I'm a big advocate for therapy. And I even talk about this in my Bible study. Like, some of the older, the seasoned folks at my church, sometimes, this is just seasoned folks in general. They just had this idea like, hey, you can get some holy water. Hey, you could just pray over it. And I said, yeah, that plus therapy, right? And I tell them, like, even in Bible study, like, I am pro-therapy and I'm an advocate for therapy. And I tell them, like, hey, you can pray all you want. You could get all the holy water, smash it all over your forehead, over your cheeks or whatever. But, man, if you don't got a therapist, were you able to really talk about it to somebody? I don't care how many times you pray. I don't care how many scriptures you read. None of that stuff is not going to really help you as much until you sit in somebody's chair and say, hey, I need to talk. I need to let this out. And your friends, they're not therapists. They're not therapists, right? My friends tell me, like, hey, I'm the friend that I understand, right? And I tell my friends, hey, I'm here to be a listening ear. I'm not going to tell you what I think you need to do, but I think you know what you should do. But I could be your listening ear. I can tell you what scripture to read. You know what I mean? Like, I can tell you, like, hey, read this book. I could tell you that. I could tell you what it means if you have some issues with interpreting. I can do that. But you still have to deal with whatever you're struggling with. Like, you have to deal with it. The question is when, right? When you going to deal with it? That's a part of healing. Dealing with it. And no, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not. Like, it's not going to happen overnight. But dealing with the pain comes with healing, right? So when are you going to deal with your pain? When are you going to deal with it? I got a therapy session next week. For some reason, I didn't book for February. She didn't have no appointments available. But I think, like, in therapy, like, I'm going to tell her, like, yo, like, I see so many people that need therapy, and I just always ask, like, when are you going to go? I have a family member that keeps saying, like, hey, I want to go to therapy. I want to go to therapy. So every time I see this person, I'm like, hey, did you book your session yet? What's stopping you? You need encouragement? You need me to find you somebody? When would you go? When would you make that decision to say, hey, I really want to be healed. I don't want to be a victim anymore. Like, I really want to heal. And I'll tell you that once you really, like, let go and once you really, like, let things out, you will feel so liberated. Like, I hear some people say, after their first heartbreak, I'm not going to ever love again and I'm going to keep my heart closed, right? But love is a great thing. It's a great feeling. And loving somebody is just pretty much saying that, hey, I care for this person and I'm vulnerable. Like, the wall is down. And I hope this person doesn't hurt me. I hope they don't. But people you love, they will hurt you. And sometimes they don't mean it. But don't make that a reason why you can't love somebody. Like, that's not a good reason for that. I was like that at one point. I got my heart broken when I was 20. I was like, I ain't gonna never love again. Screw men. I don't care about nobody. And guys would try to hit on me. I'm like, what do you want? Like, I was like that girl where it's just like, yeah, she's the pretty girl with an attitude. I'm gonna just like stay away. And somebody checked me and say, hey, you need to deal with that. You need to deal with that. And I did. And so I hope that you're able to do the same. So this is Monday. So I would like to shout out to all the dope men out there that are doing their thing. I hope that you create a safe space for yourself. Like, I really do. Like, especially for Black men, like, I really hope that you create a safe space for yourself. My guy friends, I tell them all the time, like, they like, Sakina, I can confide in, like, I can talk to you. I don't tell no secrets. I keep everything in. Like, you tell me a secret, it's going to the grave with me. I ain't saying nothing. But I tell my guy friends, like, hey, like, I want the best for you. I tell my female friends, I want the best for you. And whatever that looks like, I want that for you. I want that for you. I want you to be happy. But you could be even more happier if you decide to let go. You'll be more happier if you decide to deal with the pain or anything that's bothering you. Because it's going to happen in life, whether it happens today, whether it happens tomorrow, whether it happens next week, next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, moving forward. It's going to happen. But the question is, are you able to say, you know what can I learn from this? I hope that you guys have a great Monday. I hope that you guys have a great week. And I just hope that you just never forget how amazing you really are. You're amazing. Take care, guys.